right, I'm Nick. Now I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit, getting a little sick. I'll blame it on one of my children for bringing home the sickness from school, but it is what it is, okay? We had some questions about comparing the Canik MC9L to the Hellcat Pro. Now this is the Hellcat Pro comp, so it's a little bit different. However, the comp is trending, so I'm sure that the Canik MC9L or LS will have a comp in maybe a matter of days, okay? It's what the market is currently doing. Release a gun, mill a comp in there, now you got yourself a whole new gun, all right? Sell it to the same people you just sold a gun to. But I digress, so let's compare the two, okay? We're gonna do just like we did in the last few videos. We're gonna go slow, try to be thorough, and give you guys a good quality comparison. So, first off, we'll just line them up. They are pretty much the same size. I didn't try to put this in that same holster, but I'm pretty positive it would fit in that same holster we've been putting the other guns in. Very comparable in size. They are both optics ready out of the box. They do allow you to direct mount certain optics. We already put optics on both of them, no issues, they shot great. Rear sights, you have a U-notch back here. This one is blacked out. The Hellcat does come with the, I believe it's a tritium front sight. I like that. I like the green. It does good for my eyes. The Canik does come with a white dot right there. I'd rather have blacked out rears and a white front than 3 white dots, so that's good for me. I think they're both awesome setups, okay? As far as the slide goes, slide serrations, they're great on both pistol. They're going to allow you to run the gun in adverse conditions without any kind of headache or anything like that. It's not going to be slippery, which is important. There are rails on both of the guns. That way you can mount your light if you want to. They are about the same height. Now we're going to add the magazines real quick. We are not going to rack the guns. The Canik has 17 rounds. It is a bit taller, as you can see. The Hellcat only has 15 rounds. Now that's 17 plus 1, 15 plus 1 if you want to carry, if you have one in the chamber, you want to include that round, okay? But 15 round magazine, 17 round magazine. Obviously that plus 2 makes the Canik just a little bit taller here. Not a terrible deal. However, I do prefer the shorter grip. Next thing about the grip, the Canik comes with 3 removable back straps. That way you can change it out depending on the size of your hand. The Hellcat does not. It is just, you get what you get, okay? It's also kind of boxy. I'll tell you at first, I didn't really like it. But one thing about the grip being different is you can really feel it in your hand. Sometimes a perfectly round grip, you don't really get that much bite on it. But with it being rounded off or squared off right here, it really gets in your hand and you can feel it really, really well. And it really grew on me after I shot it a bunch because the gun, you just never lose a good grip, okay? And I became a big fan of that. Next thing about the grip is the Hellcat actually has the texture up here as well on both sides. And the Canik, it's just smooth right there. I like that. I like to have that texture right there. For me, doesn't matter if you're left or right-handed, I don't want it to be slippery. I want to know that I have a good purchase on the gun. And I always add some kind of grip tape right there, and you guys have seen that in the past, all right? They're both great guns, though, okay? This Canik has a magazine release on the left side, and it is reversible. The Hellcat magazine release is also reversible. The Canik does have ambi slide, stop, slide release, whereas the Hellcat only has the slide, stop release on the left-hand side. Very, very smooth, though. I'm a big fan of the Hellcat. I enjoyed shooting it. Some people say it's snappy, they don't like the grip, and some people criticize it, say the trigger is not very good, which the trigger is not as good as the Canik. The Canik has a very, 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 very fine trigger, okay? I don't like the take-up, though. There's a lot of take-up there, but the trigger breaks well. It's pretty lightweight, even though I measured it. It said 5 pounds. It just seems smoother than that. The reset is crisp. The trigger is really, really good. It is definitely better than the Hellcat trigger. However, if you are doing your job and you have good fundamentals, there is nothing wrong with the trigger in the Hellcat. It feels a little heavy. It definitely feels heavier than the Canik. The reset is significantly longer than the Canik, but it is a self-defense pistol. It is fantastic. It's not a range toy, neither is the Canik. and it's not that bad, okay? So it's very, very easy to pick it up in the store and think, ooh, that trigger is not very good. But when you're actually shooting it, if you're doing your job, it is fantastic. I don't mind it. I haven't shot it in a while though. And I did shoot the Canik with the Shield Plus the other day. And if you watch that video, I've been shooting the Canik pretty well, probably because that trigger is so good. Now there's things I don't like about it, but the trigger is really, really good in comparison to other subcompact pistols, we could say. So let's run the rounds through the Hellcat, see how we do. We might reload a little bit, kind of want to shoot the Hellcat a bit today anyways, and then we'll shoot that Canik, and that way you guys can see the differences. The trigger is pretty terrible compared to the Canik. It's not a bad trigger though, it's hard to go back and forth shooting the guns. If you could get used to it, you would never have a problem with it. I don't know if you guys can see it on video either, that comp puts in a ton of work. That gun is definitely flatter shooting than the Canik, but it could be the comp, so we're gonna delete that from this equation. The Canik is a fine gun. I definitely prefer the grip on the Hellcat more. I definitely prefer that green front sight. I did pull that first round, okay? That's on me. I don't know, I didn't do my job, okay? That is what fundamentals come down to. You need to really practice with the gun and shoot the gun well. Let's fast forward, reload, and I want to shoot those a bit more. All right, let's shoot the Canik first this time. I think they're both fantastic pistols. I don't think it would really matter which one you got. I still prefer the grip length being shorter. That's my biggest thing for carrying a pistol, is really how long the grip is. And that extra grip right there is just no good for me. I don't like it, okay? So let's shoot the Canik first and see how we do. Okay, so a gun being snappy is not the worst thing in the world, okay? I always talk about it's how well the gun tracks. You can double tap with this gun and shoot very, very effectively. It's a fantastic pistol because the gun tracks so well. By tracking, I mean when you pull the trigger, the gun comes back, goes forward, and the front sight is right where you pulled the trigger the first time. And that is the most important part. Snappy is this, but if it snaps and goes right back where it started, that's pretty much perfect in my mind. And this gun does a good job too. Just that trigger is so much better. It allows you to go so fast. Probably not needed for a defensive situation, but as far as going to the range and shooting, that thing is amazing. Okay, you can still double tap really, really good with the Hellcat because that comp drives it back down and it tracks really, really, really well. But if you watch that second to last trigger pull, go back and watch that, I went to pull the trigger and I expected it to go bang and it didn't quite go off yet. So I kind of flinched, not flinched, I mean I kind of pointed the gun down, we'll call it a flinch, doesn't matter to me. I'm just an average dude, okay? So the trigger not being as good as that does cause a little bit of concern for people. If you're not out here practicing with it or you're not used to it, or you shoot a bunch of different guns, you may have a little bit of problem with that trigger. Now, by no means I think it's a bad trigger, and someone's going to go to the comment section and say you can buy an Apex aftermarket trigger, which you are right, and you would not be disappointed because they make a fantastic product. You can still shoot it extremely well, even with the trigger that may not be as good as something else. This is a fantastic pistol. The Canik is a fantastic pistol. I don't think you could go wrong with either. You got to go to the store, pick one you like. I know that I point the Springfield pretty good. I also know that when I point the Canik, I point it down a little bit. After I shoot other guns, I point the Canik down. And I actually, when I do this right here, I typically don't see the front sight. I can just see the top of it. I have to correct just a little bit, okay? So I was rambling a bit. I wanted to come out and shoot them. I wanted to compare them. I think they're both fine choices though, okay? If you have any questions, I look forward to reading your comments down below. Thanks for watching.